Alright, hello again YouTube. Last episode I'm going to record today. Not that it's going to mean much to you guys, but we're going to finish and launch our Duna mission. So, our plan so far. Lander with a heat shield on the bottom. This section will re-enter through Duna with the shield up. Ditch the shield, land on the Poodle engine and parachute. Do the science, have the engineer come out, repack the parachute. Get ready for and return to space, where it will not necessarily dock, but it will rendezvous with this lower section. Now, this is not built yet, but this is going to be the transfer stage. At the moment, it has a can that is not technically rented for re-entry, but a massive heat shield that should be perfectly fine to protect it. We will then have to put the main transfer stage that will take us out to Duna underneath it, and this is going to want to be about 3k of Delta V. It is going to need to be able to detach from that as well. Right. Yeah, we'll probably manually manipulate the upper stages once we even get to that point. There's going to need to be a bit of kajigging around because the staging is not really designed for missions like this, I don't believe. Well, not quite in the same way anyway. We're probably going to want, I believe we can just load that with liquid fuel, yep. We're going to go nuclear. We've had this engine before, we've used it, it was perfectly fine. The Cherenkov. Oh yeah, loads of fuel. We'll easily do the round trip on that and have a bit spare. In fact, we could. A little loath to do this, but we'll give it a try and see how it looks. Could potentially shrink it and actually bring less fuel. And probably still get the same result, effectively. Probably want something in the middle of the two, so maybe like that. Also full of liquid fuel. Yeah, that shaves a lot of time off the burn, but still gives us what should be plenty of fuel for the round trip. Shouldn't take us... I believe it only takes... We should have enough to do it twice, roughly, with that. And the second time, it will be going back without any of this weight on top of it. That should be plenty. Nuclear engines are very efficient. They're a bit heavy, but they are very, very efficient. We'll also add some extra solar panels on this stage. Because it's going to need to sit up in orbit for a while. Uncontrolled, basically, but we're going to need it still. We aren't running out of power while we're up there, because we might have to tell it to come and get us if we run out of fuel. Right. So, that's that. Now, we just need about 4k to get it off the ground, because of course we do need to launch it to, maybe even a bit extra, because we're going to launch to 1,000 meters, but we do need to get this thing actually into space, so, which is the heavy bit. So, let's go up to the next diameter of tank. Do this as a bit of an upper stage. The Allosaur could be a good choice here, actually. Do we have any engines that are already this diameter? We have them, these two. Okay. That might work for an upper stage. I'd quite like to see what's the thrust difference of these two. 1200 at about 340. 1700. Oh, that is actually quite a lot more. So we'll maybe try an Allosaur on this stage. Named, of course, after the dinosaur. Liquid methane. LCH4 ox. LCH4 ox. Yeah, that's actually a bit better thrust to weight. And it's a bit more unusual. So that'll get us most of the way there, and then we need another 2k underneath. Or on the sides, potentially. Underneath we'll go for it. We do need, on this one, more thrust. We do not have enough at current. We're also going to need to build a quick air shell around it. Because, yeah, because it doesn't have it. Oh, the decoupler's slightly the wrong size for this one. Oh, we do need to actually put a decoupler on it. Lots to do. Right. Stack separator, yeah, that's fine on this particular stage. It's going to be in the atmosphere. I don't use the separators much. I don't think there's much point a lot of the time, but when we're in atmosphere, at the very least, it doesn't hurt. Right. We might even go up to 5-meter tanks, but we'll try that for now, and then let's have some... What's our biggest engine? The Tyrannosaur? What does that run on? 9 Deinonychus. 4,000 thrust. Liquid methane again. I'm fine with that. I actually quite like the liquid methane engines. Oh, it's not even enough. It's not actually quite enough thrust. It says a lot when you're running an engine that's 9 Deinonychus strapped together. We already know from previous launches those are a beefy piece of kit. What we could do, though, is multiple allosaurs. This is proving to be quite a big one, but I knew it was going to be. And again, we've got money. Money is not too much of an issue for a space program at current, so we can afford to splash out. Okay. That will get us to orbit. Not quite as high as I'd like. Given we cut that tank a little short, we're going to add some solid boosters. Again, we are probably overbuilding this, but it is not very expensive compared to the sort of money we have at the moment. I would rather have this work first time. We do need larger decouplers. I think Pollux boosters are the right size, but we do need larger decouplers because they're a bit too close at the moment. Maybe also 4 of them. There we go. Yes, that's nearly enough powder to lift the rocket on its own, which should say a lot for solid rocket boosters. They're beefy. We're going to launch them at the same time. I said at the same time, that stage. She'll come first, and then that one. Those two. We'll check the stage properly in a minute, but we're going to do our usual 3-point mount. Repeat after me. Decoupler at the top. She's going to put it all the way up onto that stage to keep it more steady. And then 2 at the bottom on the sides to keep it nice and stable. This is yet to let me down in this playthrough at least, so I'm fairly confident it's a good way to do it. Right. And we'll want fins. 4 of them. Right, so quick check on everything. Might even put some struts in on that stage. It won't look the best, but it should keep it solid. So, yeah, there specifically. Okay. Again, it looks a little ugly, but it should stop wobbling, and that's more important. Oh, we also want launch stabilizers. That's the last part of the equation. They're going to catch on the fins. I know there's always something right. We'll put them on the solids at the bottom then. Guess we'll have to angle them a little bit. Right, so first stage, launch stabilizers go, allosaurs and Pollux boosters kick in. That gets us up half the way. Then we have that decouples. Our second stage kicks in. That gets us to orbit in theory. That decouples. Then we have our liquid stage. This takes us out to Duna and puts us in orbit around it at low orbit. We'll put it at 70 kilometers. Then we decouple here, and this pod, with our 3 crew aboard, our scientist, our engineer, and our pilot, heads down to the surface, lands on parachute. We take science reports, we grab samples, whatever. Then we launch back to rendezvous with this, which will still be in orbit. We transfer over, taking the data out manually and transferring it into this pod. This stage flies back to Kerbin, decouples and drops this section back onto Earth with the data and with the crew. I do need to very quickly check the lander can actually has a 3-man crew and I haven't missed critical data. It does not. That's fine. We'll have 2. We're going simple. Are we still okay for DV and thrust away? Yes, the empty capsule is not that heavy. The heat shield is wide enough that this should still be fine. We will shift the parachutes up to the higher stage, just in case. Someone has tried to message me on Steam. Good timing. Ah dear. Right. I think otherwise, I'd have to rebuild that fairing, apparently. We are good to go. We'll also maybe change the colours on some of the fairings. Can I change this to orange as well? Yeah. Yeah, big orange lower stage looks cool. Unpainted. It's not even going to space. Don't even need to paint those sections. Yeah, apparently that is genuinely why a lot of the tanks are orange. It is literally because if they don't need insulating, it's cheaper to just not paint them. Not cheaper, it's lighter, rather. Yeah, why not? We'll go for ESA. Change up some textures a bit on this. Do that on the default. That tank we will change, though. Yeah, well, those thermal tiles are right. The Boldigo is ready, I believe. At least as ready as it's ever going to be. I don't need to worry about aerials on this one like I've had to before because we're not using them to control the craft. I will probably pause recording very quickly just to go check on what that is and everything. And then we'll be back and ready to launch. Okay, it was not anything too important. Right, we're ready to launch. I might even run this episode a bit longer because it's the last one I'm going to record today anyway. I might try and run this whole Duna mission for you guys, or I might split it up. I shall have to see. We'll have to pick a good point to stop if we do decide to split it up. So, 1,000 kilometers. Oh, just 0. I was going to say current orbital inclination, not 90, but we'll just go for 0. Right. Crew aboard. There's just 3 of them like there should be. We have engineer, pilot, and other pilot. That's not right. Oh, one moment. Alright. We're back. We have the right crew. We are ready. Launching in. The biggest rocket yet. Launching in 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Then realise it staged incorrectly. Why did it even stage itself wrong? We already set that up. Okay. It's fine. I don't know what's going on with this funky loading screen. That's unusual. Got a little bit of flare pattern. I guess that's something to do with the visual effects for the engines. Even this is like distorted. I've never seen that before. Okay. Here we go again. With the staging corrected. Every time I think we're good to go in this game. Right. We might even have been okay with that happening, but just in case. Oh, I'm still getting messaged. It's fine. I'll just have to wait. Right. Attempt 2. Launching in 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And up we go. Could you maybe not wiggle quite so much? You're making me nervous down there. Okay. Ascent should be pretty fierce in this. It's got good thrust to weight. Those liquid methane engines aren't messing about. Oh, don't tell me the solid rocket boosters have a longer burn than the... Okay, that might be a problem. Than the liquid tanks. They do, actually. That might be a problem. There's, right, it's probably because we've got so many of the allosaurs on there. They're burning really quick. Solid rockets are actually going to outlive the liquid fuel, which is not really ideal. If anything, we're actually going to switch that order then. Rather than switch the tanks and waste time, we might as well just dump the whole section. Dump the boosters, rather. However, you cannot stop at stage 0, you will stop at stage 4. Oh, it's getting spicy. Look at methane roast is about to burn out. Still got good thrust to weight because those Alice. Okay, so we've got away with it, but that was not really how we'd planned for that stage to go. But again, we've gotten away with it. Second stage ignition seems good. It's supposed to be the second stage, but again, it seems to have worked out. Should propel us up to orbital altitude and also do some of the job of getting us into altitude. Maybe chill out a little on the gimbal. I'm pretty sure those struts are helping, given we've got quite a lot of thrust. Orbital speed is increasing as is thrust away. Slowly. Oh, active deployed solars automatically. I have to remember to retract those before we attempt landing, because otherwise they'll burn up. We don't have. We didn't bring repair kits. It's fine. It's fine. We had space for them, but it's fine. Was definitely there, right? Yes, just checking that's in the right place. I'm not going to ditch half the crew on landing. Ultimately, if we have to, we can leave them in orbit and recover them manually, but we'd really like to do this in one flight, because that'd be cool. A single stage Duna launch is actually not at all bad. Yes. Actually surprised how relaxed it is now all of a sudden, like compared to that first stage. Looks good though, doesn't it? Ooh. Pink spirals. If this should go out to 1,000, and then it'll be in position to circularize, which will probably be on the nuclear engine. Yeah, and our apoapsis is increasing rapidly now. We're getting to the right speed. I think once you get about 2,000, it really starts to kick up. Or 2,200. Yeah. Okay. Save. I guess we can use a little bit of RCS if it needs to turn. We've got some in the upper stages and we don't need it for anything else. Might as well use it while the rockets are still on the heavy side. The pods up here have got RCS thrusters. I don't know about these two, but this one certainly does. Where's the sun at the moment? Oh, it's above us. Okay. Let's rotate so we can actually get the panels facing the right way. To get some sunlight. Slightly interesting angle. It's trying to rotate us too, but okay. I don't think that is right, actually. It's just taking a little bit to get to it. Yeah, but apparently dead flat. It's just looks a bit strange. Ah, because it is going to straighten up. Okay. Just haven't quite got to it yet. Maybe that's because we rotated it, spun it a little bit. It's fine. It's only using up monopropellant. We'll actually gain fuel from using that up, so... We'll gain delta V anyway. Yes, it's going to be an interesting flight. I've done this before with docking a landed capsule back onto the rest of the craft. I've never done it with just transferring the crew straight across. Now, that shouldn't be difficult, because we didn't accidentally like take the RCS packs off any of them. No, they've all got them. Yeah, that should be really easy, as long as we get it close and we do it quickly, so we don't drift out of alignment. But we'll have to see how it goes in practice, of course. Who knows? We've had plenty of things on this channel not quite go as intended, to say the least. Turn the lights on. Yeah, there we go. You can see it to those. And this is going to decouple in a minute, and we'll finish our burn on the nuclear engine, which is good, because I'll get McJib all set up to use it. There we go. There's our scary boy. Didn't put any radiators on it this time, but that's fine, because I don't think this actually technically generates enough heat to have to worry about it. There's a little, got a little exhaust there. Must be some kind of fuel pump, maybe. Two of them, actually. Huh. Or some kind of exhaust gas, maybe. Don't know what it would be, but that's my guess for what it is. In a moment, we'll have our long wait to encounter Duna, but that's looking good so far. Right. Duna is there. Set as target. Maneuver planner. Pork chop selection. Great node. Yeah, 800. Seems that that is still about right for my rough estimate of how long it takes to get or how much fuel it takes to get to Duna. So we have technically a lot extra, but again, thanks to a bit of advice from a friend who we've been playing multiplayer with, who, while he's not played the game for anywhere near as long, does seem to have had good success with this. I'm definitely starting to get into a mindset of overbuild it a little bit. It's fine. It causes less problems in the long run if you overbuild it. Okay, that actually slightly screwed up that maneuver node by the RCS pulsing like that. 1 year, 61 days. Now I'll have to give McJib a little bit of a help with the time warp. McJib has a bad habit of not time warping to the fastest time warp. I don't know if that's something to do with the altitude we're at or what, but let's tick down at any rate. I'll pause the recording quickly and go back to you when this is done, because you're not going to want to wait around for the time warp. Like I say, I think for this one, while I've been running at mostly 30-minute missions, for the finale, I'll just run this one its full length, however long it takes for this mission to be done. Ah, we're burning and you missed the start of it. That's fine. You haven't missed much. Yeah, it's been a year in game time. We've had a little bit of data transmitted for some of the surface bases. The lab will probably need to clean out again. So once this rocket is set off, we'll actually go to the Minmus lab and quickly transmit data again. Which we'll probably be able to do a few times on this mission actually, because of the amount of data it's got in it is actually filling up quite quick. I'm sure it will have filled again while we've been doing this. Let's keep an eye on that maneuver. We should be meeting Duna over there apparently. That definitely looks, what I think you could call mildly spicy. And again, the wonderful screenshot ops this game provides. Yeah, in a moment, we're just going to be burning for another, what is it? Almost 2 minutes kind of thing. Nothing too thrilling. I don't know. I guess I could probably cut this out, but I'm not going to worry too much. Like I say, we'll keep an eye on it. So yeah, I suppose what I can go over quickly while we're doing this is I try to go over this every now and then, keep people up to date. Our actual plan for this playthrough is eventually to send a probe out to Eeloo. Here, well not probe, a whole colony. With a big old ship. Land a large, self-sufficient, I guess, surface colony. So we want like plants, a decent amount of living space, the ability to harvest resources out the ground, and also to be on a good ground spot. That's what I'm kind of thinking. But we've got a bit of a ways to go before that. It's not that we maybe even could do it to some extent with the technology we have now, but I'd like to be able to build it up and use some of the sci-fi technologies from near future, or far future even. Near future has some nice ones as well, but far future slightly invalidates them by being even cooler and also incredibly OP in some cases, as the engines would be in real life. So we're nearly there on the burn. It's things like fusion torches, or just the antimatter engines. I think the Z-Pinch fusion rockets in there as well. There's all sorts of things. Some of them are pretty cumbersome. If you launch a full-scale... the antimatter engine fusion torch? One of them, at any rate, because it has to shed heat, it has radiators pre-built, and you can choose from a bunch of different sizes. The largest of those sizes is 100 meters. And yes, 100 meters is big. The biggest rocket widths we have at the moment are 5 meters. So 100 meters long component is chunky, to say the least, and cumbersome, to say it perhaps more accurately. Oh dear. But yes, what you gain in incredible performance stats, you lose in everything else. Convenience, the fact it generates an enormous amount of heat, the fact it needs a fair bit of power to ignite, which is not too bad. You can charge a lot of them up on batteries and then it'll generate the power to need to run them, but if you need to quickly restart them because your burn didn't go quite right, you might have a problem. If you don't have a decent generation. I have... What did I run before? I had a fusion burst rocket, I think. Or I actually called it spacecraft because I figured it was actually in some ways closer to a full-on small spaceship than it was a conventional rocket. Now, we could take science reports, but of course, we don't have antennas. They're saving weight, but are not dealing with the transmission. Probably something I should have just done, but it's fine. So we're just going to... We're already set to encounter. Don't have to worry about adjusting it, which is excellent. We don't always get that lucky. So we're just going to time warp until we cruise around to Duna. Then our plan from there is, as I said, we're going to... Actually going to do... change periaps after a set fixed time of 60 seconds to 80. We're going to put ourselves into... No, 70 I think we said. 70-kilometer orbit around Duna and circularize, and maybe even... we'll see what the inclination is, but so maybe just inclination, but then we will be undocking the lander section, and the lander section will come in for some kind of landing. Now, where we land won't matter too much, but it will have to be somewhere underneath our orbit because we do not want to get stuck midway to trying to reorbit our craft, if that makes sense. That doesn't make sense at all. We don't want to get stuck unable to rendezvous with our return craft. That's the combination of words that I am looking for to make a sentence. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, it's being weird again. It's this. I've seen this before. The weird bug where, yeah, you time warp, and it loses the fact you're supposed to be encountering, but when you untime warp, it goes, oh, wait, there it is. I don't know if this is one of the mods I have. I don't know if this is a version of the game. If we use that maneuver as a reference point. Actually, that actually kept it up. Okay, it even did encounter properly once we got to that point. So Ike is getting in the way. Excellent. As it is wont to do. Right. Actually, I've just worried myself a little bit there. I believe they said low orbit around Duna was... Hang on. Very quickly, speed alt tab to grab my thing. 60. No, 60 is fine. Okay, so 70 kilometers is fine. Okay. And we shall circularize. I think we're coming in nice and flat, which is nice. Ooh. Yeah, definitely trying out my voice. It'll definitely be the last one I'm recording today. Oh boy. Not losing fun. Do enjoy it. It's nice recording for everybody, and I like playing the game, but my throat, perhaps not so much. Alright, accelerating. Perhaps dropping rapidly. Invoice dying. Right. Securize at Periaps. But yeah, hopefully with this series you've got a... The thing I feel like I'm doing a little bit differently to others is like cutting out very little or only cutting out the waiting bits. I like to think this is giving a good idea of how, at least how I would run these missions, but also just like how you can run certain missions like this, or how you would go about doing a mission. Even if I can't explain things perhaps so well as others, but maybe you can at least see my thought process of a lot of these things. Oh, we needed to open the doors and activate the antenna on one of these, right? I think we did have antennas. No, it was just probe cores. Okay. I'm actually not sure we'll do much without an antenna, so hey. Maybe that was pointless, but oh well. We're definitely going to have to rendezvous with this with the lander then, so we'll have to be careful with it. We should have plenty of fuel. We should have enough to have a good 700 left by the time we make orbit, depending on how much we use on the way down. If our usage on the way down is very minimal, might not even be that bad, but also going to turn off auto stage if it's not already. Yep, it's already off. We need manual control basically on a lot of this stuff now. Getting science alerts, but again, we're going to have to wait until we land. Oh, actually, we will take the magnetometer report. Ooh, is that... Oh, that's creepy. I know that's just like shadow, but that was freaky. What's the sun? Yeah, Ike's just there. That was weird looking. Seeing the shadow on the surface like that. Especially that big. Yeah, the magnetometer report we will take now. Because that doesn't work at ground level. We've definitely had that confirmed now. Yeah. Trace magnetic fields are magnified by a sensitive instrument and measured in real time as you orbit near this celestial body. It's almost like hearing the heartbeat of a planet, and if it's dead inside or if something is churning. By something, they mean a magnetic core. A still molten core, specifically. Now that's important, for those of you who don't maybe know this about space, because if you have a molten iron core, like most planets do, the sort of movement of it generates a big magnetic field. It's not enough to, like, do too much, but it does do a few critical things. Number one, compasses. That's what they work off of. And more importantly, two, if you have a magnetic field, that helps deflect the solar wind off the sun. Which doesn't sound like it would do much, but what that will do eventually, if you don't have one, is it will strip your planet's atmosphere away. It will gradually erode it and knock it into space. Which is also good if you want to have life on your planet at some point, obviously. So yes, us having our magnetic field does actually mean that we've been able to, well, exist here at all. We probably wouldn't have much of an atmosphere. Or maybe even none at all. I don't know quite exactly, but certainly have a lot less without a molten core. So be glad it's there. I guess Duna still had some. Either has one rather, or because it didn't actually say. I don't think whether it did. I suppose it said listening to the heartbeat, so I guess maybe it does have one. But at any rate, Duna does have something of an atmosphere, so it must have something at least. Of course, it does take millions of years for the atmosphere to be stripped away like that, but space is big and things take a long time in space to do anything. Look at that. That is an image. You can see why it's coming from, but wow, that's spooky looking. I think that's like one of the graphics mods I've got that's doing that, but man. Right. We're actually at a really good orbit. We're nice and flat. So, decoupling lander. Oh. I have realised a issue. What we don't have at the moment is a dedicated set of landing engines. So at present, we can't necessarily deorbit. I think there may be a way around this. We're going to orbit till we're about here because we want to come down in daylight. Right. And we point retrograde. A quick save. We throttle up and we turn on the RCS. Which then does nothing because it's facing the wrong way. Okay. New plan. Let's see if we can push ourselves a little bit with this. If this doesn't work, we could potentially try and run the engines through the heat shield. Whether that'll burn it up almost immediately or whether it'll even work. Doing anything appreciable? No. Okay. New plan. Retrograde again. There's a few things we can try here. They're all a little bit risky, but okay, the heat shield is actually blocking the thrust. In order for this to work, we're going to have to ditch it, which will mean we will have no protection on the engines. Duna's atmosphere is thin. I don't know if it's thin enough for us to survive that. We don't really have a choice at this point. We're going to have to do it. So, jettison the heat shield. We're going to come in shallow and descend slowly. We can't come in too slowly because we've got to land in daylight. We're going to have a hard time not landing in daylight anyway, but we can potentially use our engines to partly slow ourselves down on the way. Okay, that should still have us landing in daylight. We're going to quick save again. We're going to run until MechJet. We're going to time warp until MechJet drops us out. Or until the game drops us out. Oh. Hey, oh, they retract. Is that something MechJet did for us? Does auto deploy solar panels? Is that smart enough to actually... turn that off. Is that smart enough to actually retract them so they don't break? Does that actually MechJet doing that? It could well have been. Okay, on the chutes. Here we go. This might be a long landing because, like I say, we're coming in shallow. That's deliberate to minimize heating. We haven't used very much fuel to drop us out of orbit, but we may need something to slow us down or on landing. That's something that I can do manually because we'll have the parachutes to orient us the right direction. We won't need very much to... Doesn't take much brain power to land on parachutes if you're just using the engine to throttle up and down a bit. The choice of thermal tiles specifically for the outside of this fuel tank may turn out to be a good idea. Not that it makes any difference, but in real life they're meant to be somewhat insulated, I believe. I won't run any science experiments up here because again we're going to save them to ground level. Re-entry is going to be the tricky bit with this. I had not thought of that properly apparently. Because, of course, again, I hadn't really thought of the deorbiting bit. I suppose we could have potentially dropped us out of orbital path with the full booster, decoupled this, and then have the full booster immediately correct its orbit. That would have worked. But we'll make do. Either we haven't hit the atmosphere yet, or it's just exceptionally thin, because we're still gaining speed and there's no flames, but I think we're going to hit it in a second. I think it'll be that marker there is when we'll enter into it. I am quite impressed that MechJeb actually thought to retract the solar panels. I did not think it would do that. Okay, we're slowing down. It's nice and gentle at the moment. We can kick the engine in if we have to slow down drastically. But the more fuel we have, the more likely our next stage of our launch is to succeed. So it's a little bit of balance. If I see them start to heat up, I'll kick the engine in immediately to slow us down. But what we could also do is generate a tiny bit extra drag by extending the landing legs. The chutes will deploy when it's safe to do so, so we may also have to slow down deliberately just to make sure it is safe for them to deploy. Once we get near 5,000, we're going to want to slow down to shoot speed, so I'll see how this goes. It looks nice and flat, or at least dunesy anyway. No big terrain features to get in the way. There's that, I suppose. It kind of looks like an asteroid maybe hit it like that at some point in its past, or it could be erosion, but people have done weather for Duna. I don't think there is any at the moment, but people have done with some visual packs. They've done clouds that are programmed to be at ground height and look like dust clouds, which I always thought was quite fun. I don't know if we've got any of those, but Duna, like Mars, is the sort of planet that would theoretically experience dust storms, or does in the case of Mars. The Mars ones are actually very useful. There's a famous thing where some of the early Martian rovers lasted way longer than people thought they were going to, and the reason for that was that the dust storms kept clearing the solar panels, literally blowing the dust off of them. Little mini dust devils and things would literally sweep the solar panels clean. They'd operate for longer than they thought. Right, we are slowing down gradually. We have actually had no problems with re-entry heating, so we actually got away with that. We are getting low quickly, though, for having no parachutes out. I'll try and wait as late as possible. I do want to minimize fuel burn if we can, but yeah, we're not slowing down fast enough. Just enough to get the chutes out. That's fine, the drogues will deploy now. There we go. Need a little extra something to kick them in. Once we're slow enough, the main one will be able to deploy. There we go. Hey, and that's what your drogues are meant to do. They are meant to slow you down. You know, it's weird. Try and keep retrograde for the most part. We'll wait for ourselves to be dropping basically horizontal, and then we'll use the... That's not, Oh, that's our other landing spot. It's one of our other landers. Yeah, we're quite near. Relatively near, anyway. Still coming in at about 35 meters a second, which is too fast, but that's why we've got the, that's why we've got engines. Do a quick save there. We've got a fairly high thrust to weight, so we can slow down if we need to. Give me the actual distance surface readout. I do this manually at the moment. This feels like it's safer to do it manually to some extent. Gently does it. Gently. And cut. Oh, would you look at that? We're down. It's not the flattest landing spot in the world, but it's not bad either. Hey, perfect. There we go. Right. Our first landing on a truly alien world. Let's see what the science data has to say about it. We may not also be here very long. The slight downside of Kerbal is that there's not often much reason to go to planets, or actually get out and look around, I should say. Opening the sample container, you find that everything has turned red. Initial tests show that it'll never wash out of white spacesuits. You consider sending missions in pink EVA suits to reduce cleaning costs. Fair enough. Seismometer. There is some. Sensor gives insight into the seismic activity of Duna. Well, that was interesting. Temperature, not much. I'm going to guess by that. Scanner. There is plenty of argon in the atmosphere. Well, there's some argon at least. Not much of anything else. Okay. Mystery goo. You observe the goo. Wonderful. The barometer. You don't think wings would work very well here yet. Able to record the effects of Ike as it orbits Duna. Ah, of course, yes, because it's sort of moving around and constantly or consistently affecting the gravity. We are going to, because it's one of these things has reminded me, we're going to extend the solar panels for one thing. We are going to very quickly go and check up on the lab, because that will have filled up. I meant to do that earlier. And then we will return to our brave Kerbalots. Right. Where is Mimus? Basically, we'll go check up at home quickly. Make sure everything's going okay over there. The game is lagging a tiny bit. There's a lot going on around here. Right. Protop. My main man. How are things going over here? Yeah, we need to make sure the lab is actually sending science back, because otherwise it's just sitting there doing nothing for ages. I'm sure it will be full at this point. It's probably been full for weeks. Months even, but it does pause. We don't lose data while it's not sending properly, but we need to actually accelerate to when it has a signal. Oh, like just then that we missed. Okay, slowly. That'll be still sunlight. There is still sunlight. That's fine then. Transmit science. Really? It hadn't quite filled up? It was very nearly there, apparently. Yes, we do want to make sure we keep an eye on that. Cool. Back to the... We'll go to the tracking station. That'll make it easier to find the Duna probe again. Might not be quicker, but it'll be easier. Maybe the game could do with like a list of active vessels. And just like bring up a list in game and just quickly click and be like, yeah, switch to that, please. Either way. Right. I assume it'll be right at the bottom of the list. The Boldly Go. Oh, orbiting Duna. Nope, we want to... If the one that's landed at Duna, fly. Do not click terminate. That would be a terrible way to end the episode. You can blow up your craft if you desperately need, like, to get rid of something. It will kill any Kerbals that are on board, which will include ones that will not come back. If you do that to the ones that won't, or that do rather, like Bill and Jeb and Bob, and Val, they will come back after a while, but we'd rather not do that if we don't have to, because we don't get anything from it apart from clearing up the vessel list and reducing lag a bit, which maybe we'll have to do that eventually. I think debris is building up a bit. Game does slow down a bit once there's a lot going on. I might do a manual clear up of debris specifically later on, but anyway, let's walk to the Duna sunrise. Beautiful. Right. I believe we've taken data from all of our surface experiments. Anything left is to step out onto the new world. And I think the honour this time will go to Joe. Well, we'll get everyone out. We'll get everyone out, but Dofrod specifically I would like to get out and do. He could do the surface reports and things. He is our scientist, and this is a brand new planet. We've not been here at all. Look at that. Like I say, this is a pretty looking game at times. Sun beaming down. We've got a little dot of planet in the air there. There's Ike over there being a lot more big and intimidating. I wonder if we could play a quick visit to Ike on the way. Probably better not, but we'll have Jeb plant the flag though. He's our intrepid pilot after all. But yeah, we'll get everyone out briefly to at least have a look around. Right, Duna first. Duna landing. Right. We went without really being sure if we'd be able to come back. We still don't know that. Really know that, honestly. But for the view down here, it was worth it. Or maybe have one of the scientists. I don't think there's rocks actually. I was going to say maybe investigate the rocks. I don't think they do much, but we'll maybe have one. Have them go wander over to that one. I think getting them out on the surface of the planet will actually got plant flag actually gives them some stuff. But at least we should have them all get out here and actually have like landed on it. Yeah, wee. Yeah, gravity's lower than Kerbin's, but it's still not super low. Now for you, of course, Dofra, this is the biggest one because you haven't even run a single mission for us yet. Your very first mission was, hey, here's the biggest launch we've done yet and the furthest we've ever had to go. Hope he realizes this. Looking into his eyes, I'm not sure he does. Go check out that rock for us. I'll take a surface sample as well. Don't think there's anything interesting around here, though, is the only slight problem. Again, Kerbal's always had the slight problem of, hooray, you got here. Now what? Some very small numbers of planet packs improve that by making the planet's surface a heck of a lot more interesting. Maybe we'll run one of those mods later, but we haven't got one of those yet. EVA report. Everywhere you look, you see red. Nice. We can't climb it. Can we surface sample it? Oh, we can jetpack. Hey. Surface sample. Mid and sea. Ah, there appear to be traces of water in the soil. Ooh. That's good. Oh yeah, I wonder if that means we can, considering the surface scans, water is something we can harvest. I don't know what we do with it. It might be more the framework's just there for if people have added life support mods. But that might mean we can maybe extract water from the surface and do stuff with it. What have we not done? Oh, EVA science experiment. Oh, we haven't actually got the kit with us, so I don't know why it's popping up with that one. Oh, that's another thing we could have bought. Oh well. Again, it's fine. So, hope you enjoyed your 5-second landing here, guys. That's all you get. They really are a long way from anything, but we do need to bring them back. We'll land more permanent bases here in the future, guys, but honestly, for now, let's focus on getting you all back to the Space Center in one piece. And oh, of course, we get some world firsts. First time we're getting those again for a little while. Yeah, we'll check those in a minute, but we'll have some world firsts for. Well, no, we'll check them when we get back, but we'll have some world firsts for like getting to Duna and like landing on it and everything with actual crew. We'll get a few little bonuses from that. I actually don't think science-wise it's going to be enormous. It's not going to be pathetic by any means. It's still going to be probably a few hundred quite easily. Maybe 1,000. But in terms of actual pure science, it's not probably going to outstrip the lab. If we landed a lab out here, that might be another story. We'd probably get quite a lot. Oh, yes, I knew there was something else. Repack the chute. I believe they have a certain amount of repacks, but I'm not sure. And that's the other thing we need to do. No, wait, we can collect them, can't we? We have science. Okay, that should have stored all the science, yes, in here. And what we can do is then we can have, when we transfer over, we can have one of the scientists grab it and yeah, we'll have our scientists grab it and transfer it across. So, we have done the easy part, question mark? The hard part? I'm genuinely not sure what to call it. We have done a part of it. Right, ascent guidance. It is orbiting at 75, or 74, really. Launch to rendezvous. Whoa. Disengage. Quickly. Actually, yeah, hang on. We'll manually warp until we're nearly there. Okay. Disable that. Disable that. Time warp. Oh. Oh. Time warp off. Track solar panel. Track solar panel. Way to make me nervous, MechJeb, by not shutting down when you're supposed to. Alright, here we go. Ladder retracting. Landing legs retracting to reduce drag. Close the doors to also reduce drag, maybe. I actually genuinely don't know if they have any effect on it or not. So, we will rendezvous autopilot until we're within a few hundred meters. Then we manually pilot them across into the lander cabins. Then we send the rest home. Basically, is the plan from here. This little craft will get left in Duna orbit, I suppose. I don't know whether there'll be any more use for it. I suppose with the chutes repacked, it's technically functional as another lander. If we built a craft at some point with a claw on it, it could theoretically... Or even not even a claw. If we just built another craft that could come and meet up with it and rendezvous, we could use it again, as long as we could refuel it as well. Yeah, maybe a claw on the front to refuel. We could land a nuclear stage. Oh no, it wouldn't work because we need oxidizer as well. This is on oxidizer rockets. Oh well. Maybe we will lose this, but that's fine. It could sit in orbit and be a little bit of history for some very, very long-term future scientists to come and pick up and be like, wow, look at this old piece of junk. Did we really used to fly through space in these? That's not even close to the right. No, right. Whatever. We've got fuel. Oh, that's actually a lot lower than I've got on my thing. My thing reckons about 1300 to recircularize. Huh. Of course, another potential future landing we could do for this lander is landing on Ike. The parachutes won't work, but I think Ike is actually easier to... Yeah, Ike is lower gravity than Duna, so we could potentially do that as a future mission. We could do a powered landing on it. I had this horrible moment where my brain had to tell me, like, Doug, don't do it, where my brain said, hey, fly this out to Ike and land on it, and I'm like, I'm not sure we'll manage that, and I probably don't want to risk it. Funny as it would be. Oh, right. We've stored the data. We can run more experiments. And then just collect them, right? Oh, shoot. Shoot. Securize. It's time now. That nearly went wrong. Whoops. Collected. Okay. Okay, are we actually in orbit above re-entry height? We are. Okay. Whew. That almost went horribly wrong. Right. So we should have 13 data in there now. Yay. Okay, cool. So, we're still targeting the other part. Still targeting the lander. Yep. Rendezvous autopilot. We slightly screwed that up, but we got away with it just about. Planes, yeah. Yeah, and it's going to have to do this stuff anyway because we've launched the wrong plane. It can't seem to get that right. Oh, well. Oh. Solar panel. Do not run out of power midway. That would be a sucky-ass ending. You might be able to manually deploy the panels even without power, but... just in case. Homebrew rule, let I suppose say if you've got an engineer that gets out and spacewalks near it, they can turn on the infinite electricity cheat for a few seconds to deploy the panel. I wonder if they'll do more stuff like that, like little Kerbals doing like manual fixes for for disasters in the second one. Okay, yeah, it's going to raise the orbital height a bit. It shouldn't be as bad on Duna because, again, the fuel use is very low. Again, you see it's only using 31. This, we might not even need to... No, we do need to transfer them across because we haven't got landing parts. I was going to say, this might even have been able to come back. If we'd accounted for the same amount of fuel, even with the heat shield, this actually might have made the return trip to Kerbin, although it would be flying very fast at that point. Yes, here's where we've hopefully found our nuclear engine hasn't melted down while we've been cruising around in orbit trying to catch up with it. Oh, there's Ike again, looking menacing. That I can't get over that shadow on the Duna's surface from Ike. That's freaky. Like, I know that is how it works, but like, it doesn't look right somehow. It looks a bit cosmic horror. Like the planet's looking at you. Which I have seen done, to be fair, as in at least someone's cosmic horror thing. I can't remember what it was called, but it was cool and freaky there, and it's cool and freaky here. And it's not even intended here, which makes it worse. I guess it is intended, but you know what I mean. Still getting the odd science reading. We must be passing over biomes we haven't seen yet. No, do not do that. Do not do the EVA report. EVA report. Take it. Board. No. I'm absolutely not putting up with that. The flipping EVA report thing, man. And the first time it's caught me off. Right, how far have we reverted? If it's a long way, I will do a quick edit. It's not that bad. He's going to have to do it. You know what? I'll cut this out. We'll go to the point where we actually catch up with it. I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright, we're on course to intercept. Oh, the match velocities. Sorry about that, that's really annoying. I did not... my brain did not quite catch up quick enough to realise, hang on, if I click that again. No, collect tool. Okay, that's fine. The EVA reports we don't keep doing in the wrong place. Yes, I guess you can just collect a whole mission's worth of data as long as you actually put it in the pod. Oh, we are dead on track. That's fine, disengage. Right. All ashore that's going ashore, and that's all yet. Right. Take the data. Make sure he's got all of it. Don't have to fly past it because the door's on the other side. Yeah. Okay, science data transferred to the other crafts. Continuing crew transit. Another one for the top module, and then I guess Bill or Bob or whichever one is left will go in the bottom. I notice this log doesn't say Duna yet. I'm guessing that doesn't come up until you've actually landed. You can do Kerbal's level up immediately, which means they could level up while they're actively out in the field, but I guess the idea is... I don't know. I guess they just don't do that by default. You can turn it on, but again, I don't believe we did. Well, they would have leveled up by now, I expect. Jeb is on board. Last one is Bill. Goodbye, Duna Lander. You did us proud, frankly. You did very well. Right. Now it's up to this big old nuclear cylinder to get us back in one piece. It's much less glamorous looking, but it should work. Hit me that a little quick. Bill's a risk taker, apparently. Right. Grab hold. Nope. Right. Yeah, we have almost as much fuel as we started with, because we've ditched the weight of the lander, effectively, or almost as much Delta V as we started with. Kerbin, set as target. What we will do what we do on Kerbin. We will boost our orbit to 1 million kilometers. We'll also check if Ike's going to get in the way and screw that up. Where does 1 million put us? There. Okay, I think we'll be okay with that. Ike may get in the way of our maneuver, in which case we'll have to do another fine-tune, but doesn't look like it's going to use too much Delta V at the moment to do our planned maneuvers. Right, let's check out this world first. It's probably the right time now. Nope. Walked on the surface of Duna, we have planted the flag on Duna, and we have formed a spacewalk in orbit of Duna. Excellent. And about what we expected, really. Power we still have. These panels are working fine. We are effectively flying what I would consider to be a large comedy piece of meat shaped rocket, or perhaps a Trolls Club shaped rocket. We also have auto warp turned off for some reason. Oh, I'll just say the landing, but we didn't do the landing on auto warp. What have we got orbiting around there? Oh, the Duna Ranger. Oh, of course, I forgot that's still up here. Yeah, talking to little ground stations, I suppose. Yeah, once we get back as well, the other thing we'll do before we finish the episode is check the lab. Probably be ready to transmit again, and we can then do some research of all the science we've grabbed. And consider what our next plan could be. We could... I'd say we could try an Eve landing. Eve landings are even harder than this, Doug. Doesn't mean we couldn't try, but the problem with an Eve lander is while it's easy to get down, getting up again is a trick. Because the atmosphere is thick with 3 Cs, and the gravity is heavy. It's the thick thing, I suppose, but yeah. So Eve is a difficult one to get off of. Famously so we'll have to see what we can do with that. Alright, so circularize next apoapse. Turning again, Space Club. Oh dear. Yeah, I think we have to just decouple that before we can inflate it. Don't know why I'd want to inflate it now anyway, but hey. It's interesting how thin the actual mounts for this are. It's just a few. I suppose we'll keep it as lightweight as possible, but got to wonder what the plumbing is inside that as well. I imagine there's probably quite a lot of it, and it's probably very fiddly, from what I know about rockets. By very fiddly, I mean it also has to withstand ungodly amounts of pressure and heat and whatnot. That star is huge. It almost looks like another planet over there. And Starfield around KSP is interesting. Right. Accelerating. And circularized. At least enough as far as I care. Right. Let us head for home then. Let's transfer to another planet. Pork chop. I believe we've still got Kerbin selected. 500. It's even less than it took to get here, but the departure node is miles away. It's 3 years, so it's time for hyperwarp. It's time to put this inside here so no one gets the seizures. By this I mean the camera. Yeah, that's close enough. Standard warp. actually execute the node now. Now the landing might come in quite hot, so what I'll probably do is use some of the nuclear engine to slow us down. Some of the remaining fuel slows down before we hit the atmosphere, and then we'll rely on the big white heat shield. Now we are a very light lander, so we'll actually probably be okay, but just in case. We'll also take a crew poll, why not? Think about ice at the poles. Yeah, there is. Oh yeah, we're probably high above Duna, I suppose, at this point, yeah. We could even check the... In fact, we're going to go check the lab now, because the lab is probably ready to go again. Kerbal. Hang on. You can use a tab to force the camera to behave, basically. Can I hide Kerbals for now? Okay. Just do. Switch to Frotop. Once more. Oh, second verse, same as the first. As long as I don't spend too long waiting for a signal, we won't miss the window to come back home. And even if we do by a little bit, we can do a ASAP node to just bring us straight back, even if it uses a bit more fuel. You don't have to be efficient, but it will drastically reduce the fuel usage if you have at least a fairly good encounter. Alright, mini home. Don't currently have a signal. We need both a signal and daylight, basically. I'll do. Transmit science. Yeah, and unsurprisingly, we've got there a fraction of a second too late to actually transmit anything. It's not what I was going to say, but it is what's happened. Right. Transmit science. Now back to Duna. We now return you to your regularly scheduled flight. And we'll run the lab again once the thing gets back. Might as well. But we'll switch directly to it. Because probably by the time another year's passed, it will have... Well, definitely by the time it's another year's passed, it will have filled up again. And we should gain the big science. You might notice again, as I said, that the lab's probably going to generate more science than this Duna trip will. Oh, pardon me. Quite easily. I guess a Duna lab would be really good, but yeah, the labs are potentially a bit overpowered. Although I guess with how much science you need for later things, I suppose they are kind of required. I guess you just need to set up a lot of them in different places. Different biomes and things. Ugh. I suppose also having high-level scientists probably helps, because I believe that improves how much you get from the data at the lab as well as how quickly. But yeah, it might be good to bring them back at some point. They might level up. They've been out in space on the lab for a long time. In fact, I think we can level them up from the lab. And see if their years of experience in space add up to anything meaningful. Whee! That looks like a sewing machine or something stitching around the edge of the planet. You could also be doing this at 10 times the speed, MacJeb. Yeah. Okay. Save. I'm very paranoid about this. I quick save a lot. But so far this mission's working, and I would like it to be a success ultimately, because I haven't had many missions like this that have gone this far and come back okay. I've usually had to, at some point, cheat at some point to fix some tiny oversight, because I'm like, it's like, I could take the loss. I really don't want to. After all the time it's taken to get me here, I'd rather just cheat a little bit and just get them back safe. I have not had to so far. it has just worked so far, which has been both interesting, novel, and new. All of which, in this case, things I like. Successful is another one I can add onto that list, which is also equally nice. But yes, at present, things are working okay. Just got a short burn to get back now. And then we'll decelerate once we get... We might even drop it straight onto a re-entry course to Kerbin. But we'll also gun it in reverse when we get near the surface and burn up some of our remaining fuel to slow us down. Rather than spending time back about in orbit or whatever. These Kerbals are not going to want to wait to get back home, so they've had a long flight. I imagine... I don't know for certain in real life. I feel like anyone who actually... Because they are thinking about doing Mars missions. Obviously, they'll time it way better in real life. But realistically, anyone who goes out there is going to be there for a while. I didn't even check we've got an encounter, but we're okay. And I feel like the sort of person who could sort of mentally withstand that trip, and there will be people, but the sort of person who could mentally withstand that trip, I wonder what they'd be like afterwards. Whether they'd be like, never again. They're like, it was great, it was unique or whatever, but like, I'm not doing it again. Or whether they'd be the sort to like, they'd be like, I have to go again. Like, I can't Earth anymore. Like, I have to go back out again. Do another one kind of thing. I genuinely don't know whether they'd be fit to anyway, I suppose, at that point. But I don't know how long they'd actually be there. I think it might be a few months. I think I vaguely heard something like it takes about like 9 months or something to get out there, and then same again to get back. And then if you're there for a few months, it'll be a few years. Yeah, I don't know. You might be okay. I think it's a really long voyage, and obviously cabin fever is a thing. But I presume they'd pick people that they'd test them as well anyway. But I assume they'd get people that would be able to deal with that. Yeah, maybe it's not so bad. If it was just a few... There's a couple of years plus a break in the middle of a significant time, like a few months, on the planet's surface with loads to do, and I genuinely do wonder what that would be like. I don't know if I want to do it myself. You know, if you said, here's a hyperspace-capable ship, you can go out there in like 10 minutes and have a wander around the spacesuit and everything, I'd be like, absolutely, I'll do it. But like... on the good old conventional slow boating, rockets, not so sure on that. Don't think I want to do that. Yeah, that's why I made that little maneuver node to fix the issue of the time warp being like, oh, you're not going to re-enter it. It's just like, yes, I am. That. Okay, what's our periaps looking like? Oh, 65. Oh, we're literally on re-entry. That's fine. We're literally already on the way. So, how many minutes of fuel have we got left? 3 minutes. Let's go retrograde, warp helper, atmospheric entry, 120 seconds. We'll burn off a good chunk of the fuel before we even hit the atmosphere and just slow us down, because we're not moving fast at the moment, but we'll probably hit the atmosphere about 3k if we don't do anything to slow ourselves down. About 3 kilometers a second. At a rough guess, that's normally the sort of speed one would expect. I think we accelerate once we get close to it. Maybe not. Oh no, no, it is ramping. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's ramped up a lot. Yeah, about 3,000. My guess was about right. Use the gimbal to help us. Game adjusts to realizing what's going on. Do a quick save now, because this could be iffy. Right. Time warp. Times 4. Perhaps is rapidly dropping. That's fine. Nearly at the atmosphere. Just slow it down while it transitions. Yeah, the music stops. You can tell when we've reached it. 70 kilometers is the magic number. Now, some of you may be wondering, but Doug, aren't you about to drop a giant active nuclear reactor engine onto Kerbin's surface? And to that I say, that's not really our problem now, is it? As to where that ends up. And also, I'm assuming that mountain range is uninhabited. Yeah, definitely some drag happening. Someone beeping outside? Who's getting beeped at? Now, these are supposedly not rated for atmospheric entry, and to them I say, working just fine. What were you worried about? What is the traffic getting worried about out there? It's not even a school day, it's a bank holiday. What they're complaining about. Right. Gently descending and... yep. It shoots readied anyway. The only slight downside is we are coming down to land in a mountain range. I think we've even landed in this range before. No, maybe not this one. Upside is, I think this has basically worked. If it's EVA report, I'm not doing it. Crew report, right. That's fine. The mountains rise up from the ground of Kerbin. They seem so much smaller from way up here. They're about to get big. I won't worry about that for too long. They're about to get a whole lot bigger. Now, we know from experience this heat shield really does not weigh much. We're able to float down, no problem at all with the previous lander. How much they'll weigh in this one with 2 of these lander cans, I don't know. Whoa. Whoa, what is happening there? What the Christ? We're spinning. Why are we accelerating? I don't know what to say. Speed. To copy a certain YouTuber, though. I suppose that's something I could say about it. If I turn the SAS off, we just spin. It just gradually accelerates. Is that some kind of air resistance thing? We weirdly weighted. It must be. It must be something to do with the speed we're coming in at. It really doesn't want to fall flat. I didn't have this was the water landing. What's going on? I know that craft was bigger? Heavier? Wait, was it? I think that craft was bigger. Still, what is this? Even Jeb's looking worried. I didn't even know it was possible for him to look worried, but I thought it specifically wasn't. Okay, maybe it's just his serene self, but Dofrod's definitely looking a bit like, guys? If I turn it off, does it start to accelerate again? Yep. Really quickly. Oh, Christ. Decelerate. What the Christ is this? Okay, I was about to jettison the heat shield. What the hell? What the heck was that? Oh dear. That was not a planned part of the landing, and I don't think that was physics working as they should have been. I'm pretty sure the Kraken decided that he was mad at me finally pulling this mission off and tried to strike me down. And has failed, but not through lack of effort. I genuinely was a bit worried that the craft would rip apart there. I was going to try and ditch the heat shield, but I couldn't even click on it properly because of the spin. There's boulders there. We might be able to get a look at those. Are we going to land in a tree? Seriously? I might land next to a tree. I have landed in a tree after a mission before. They are solid, actually. Surprisingly so. Mind you, in real life, if you're coming in to land at 6.5 meters a second, you're probably quite grateful of a nice tree to stop your fall. Are we going to clip the tree? No, we're okay. Look at that. Gently down into the grasslands. Or mountain, I should say. Is that actually a rock? What actually is that? It is just a little rock. Hey, look at that. World's first. Return from a flyby of Duna. Orbit the sun and also the sun. Oh yeah, of course, because we brought Kerbals back from the orbit around the sun as well. Let us see what we have brought home. It is I, Mother. I returned from 15 years? No. From about 3 years in space, I think, roughly. No, actually, we had the 3-year wait. From 6 years in space. Oh, boy. 7 years, maybe, by the time you consider the wait at the start. Oh, boy. We are slow. A slow program. Probably a good thing we didn't try and get those rocks. We probably wouldn't have got back on time. Actually, in all honesty, we could have done an ASAP return and probably been fine, but oh well. So this lander design we know works, but is interesting. Oh, 18... Oh, almost 2k. Okay. Nope, that was worth it then. Absolutely. We got a lot of science back from that. Some funds, and the crew are level 3 now, all of them. Jeb's level 3 and our scientist level 3. He's now our highest rank. He's gone from 0 to hero instantly. Apparently Duna's good for training, huh? Right. Let's have a little look at it. Rather than going to the lab again, we're just going to go to the, well, actual lab. What could be worth getting? Could get the particle scoop. That would allow us to actually start refueling in space, as long as we're in the right place, as well as refueling certain nice extra things. Like hydrogen for our some of our engines. All these things do have nothing in them. We can get some very large parts, but I don't think we need those ones specifically. Go for some different new rockets. Which are these? The Etna liquid hydrogen. Okay. Tharsis. Looks like a high efficiency one. The Vulture liquid methane engine. Very mixed. The Matinee, which is a Manatee even. Very powerful engine. The Cougar liquid fuel. Oh, dual chamber of the links. Ah, okay. Those do not have anything. Exotic nuclear propulsion ones do. It could go into something like the Fireflash. The Fireflash is a nuclear turbojet. If you basically want an engine that will just run in atmosphere forever, whatever the atmosphere is, that will work. It doesn't need any fuel. It just runs on atmosphere. That could be an interesting engine option. It does also lead into some of our first super high-tech engines. The Eeloo, which is I believe, a better version of the previous engine. And it can run on liquid fuel in space. The Verne pulsed engine, that I think is what I ran my previous spaceship off of. Magnetic pulse engine. Which has a total thrust of 640, which is not huge. But an ISP of 9,500, which is. Runs on fusion pellets, or fission pellets. Or the Clark fission engine, which is very efficient at 350,000. Yeah. But you might also notice has a thrust of 12. Just 12. Yep. It's like a gigantic ion engine that you can't really replace. Or maybe you can. Kind of drained for other parts. You might be able to repair that, actually. With a nuclear... I can't think what it's called. What is it called? A Vulcan? Vulcan and a whirly-jig, maybe? What else could we get down this line? We can also get the... The nuclear saltwater engine is a hilarious piece of kit. There's a almost 1,500 thrust, 1,800 in atmosphere, at almost 4,000 efficiency. So while it's not quite so fancy as the others, it does have astounding output for its size and compactness. Very expensive fuel, though. It's bigger fusion engines that we might potentially need later. And, well, fission engines and fusion. That, I believe, is an improved version of the other engine that we saw. Wait, no, that looks worse, if anything. Oh, this is the one where you can, I think, inject extra fuels into it. Oh, lithium. Yeah, if you inject the extra fuel type into it, it can do better. Not sure about that one. It doesn't look great, actually. Not terrible. It's still, you know, very good efficiency, but large tanks of fission fuels? We even had the fission fuels before that point. Oh, yeah, you get one of them. Okay. I'm thinking propulsion might be the way to go. We're pretty good on other parts at the moment. We will want some parts like these long girder frames later on. But I think it could be good to potentially spec into our first futuristic engine to go down this route. Experimental rocketry gives us some. But they're more conventional rockets. Where's the... Are there bigger nervers somewhere? Am I imagining that? Maybe we haven't got that mod. Let me go check some of the other things we can do. There are also... Not there. Is this route? Helps if I click in the right place. Which gives us things like the magnetoplasma dynamic thrusters, which are also pretty good bits of kit. 90 thrust at 3000 ISP. They're a little weaker, but they're a little easier to run, and they're relatively cheap. They tend to be low thrust, high power requirement, but very high efficiency. Goes up to about 6000. So that is also a route we could go down. Those are not bad engines by any means. There's also the improved iron engine variants. 9000 Delta V, but only at 4.3 newtons. So, but they're light. They're light and small by comparison. Almost 20,000 at 4 newtons for only a quarter ton. So these would be good for small rockets. These would be good for much larger ones. Unfortunately, we're building a space colony, so we probably want the large stuff. We probably don't have too much choice there. Power will also be an issue at some point, but I think we go down this route. We have to take an empty node, sadly. Unless taking that gives us that, but I'm a little worried. Take that and then find out, oh, we can't do it. We might even need both. Which would kind of suck. Given that, do we want to take this and then we at least have some better engine? No, we're pretty well sorted. We'll try it. So we take that. Take high efficiency, whatever it was. Okay, we might have to go to the lab and get some more data. If we do that, if we go into the lab, we will be able to take the Impulse, which is not the one I was planning to start with, but it's not a bad engine by any means. 2000 electric charge to start. That's not too hard to store power for. 75 vacuum thrust. 5000 efficiency. Good. Runs on lithium. Not too expensive at all. Deuterium and electric charge. And I believe we can also, yeah, put helium-3 into it to actually gain another third thrust and another quarter again, thrust and thing, or half again. Yeah, that'll be worth it then. Heat 3000 does generate a fair bit of waste heat, but nothing we can deal with. Yeah, let's go to the lab, grab that extra science. I'm sure we'll have enough from our exoplanetary lab to grab that up. And we'll buy that engine, but we'll work into speccing into the one a little lower down on the tech tree. Which I believe is a little bit more competent in general, but we'll double check the stats. Either way, we have just gained a 5000 efficiency engine, so you know there is that. Not that Minhome. Also, the game is starting to struggle a little bit. I don't know if that's because I've got too much stuff up, or because the game's been running too long, or what. I think there is a tiny bit of a memory leak with Kerbal, or at least it seems to struggle a bit if it's been running too long. It has been running most of the day. So, but again, this is the last one I'm recording today. I might have a little look into designing something with that new engine, but I won't launch anything off screen. I don't want to take that away from you guys. I'm sure you'd like to see whatever we come up with. But yes, with that new engine, we should be able to go a very long way indeed. So we might have to work on some kind of mission for it. Perhaps do a grand tour, maybe. Something we considered. We've had missions for it. We could run that weird grand tour to Minmus and then Duna and Ike with some tourists. Long-term tourist trip, maybe. Right. Level up crew? Oh, they have leveled up. Franbed is upgraded to level 2. Excellent. And yeah, we've nearly got 500 science again, and still 1000 data in there. See what I mean? Labs are kind of absurd. They're long-term, but they are kind of crazy in the amount of data they can actually bring back. I wonder if we could rendezvous that with the space station. I don't think there's much fuel in it, but if we landed another resupply vessel nearby, right, and we put fueling pipes on it, we could maybe refuel the lab and bring it out to the space station so that at least have a closer route to get home, because we're going to need to bring those guys back at some point. because we do have quite a bit of experienced crew. That might be another mission for at some point as well. Then we have a few options. We have quite a few options. Right, 1800 science. Let us do it. Fusion rockets, our first truly high-tech engine type. We might even spec into ion engines later anyway, because that'd also be nice to have for small things, but like our probes. So, let's go have a very quick look at it in the hangar, because there's another interesting thing to these, and that's they're pretty sizable. These don't tend to be small engines, these ones, and they're very high-tech and usually costly, although I think this one was not too bad. I think this one was about 100,000. See what the fuel costs as well, because the fuel can be quite expensive for these engines. But I believe for this one it was lithium and deuterium and helium-3, hydrogen-3. I'm not quite sure which. It's an isotope, which is still something I don't quite understand. Well, my science knowledge struggled a bit with that point. Right. Engines. Size, I believe it will be one of the biggest, not the biggest. There's Impulse. Oh, actually that is smaller than I thought. That's a 2-meter engine. 2.5-meter engine even. So, like I said, 2,000 electric charge to start it. It takes 2 seconds to charge up. And you can set the charging rate. You can set to charge much slower if you don't have the power to do it. You might notice the temperature gauge is going up like crazy because we haven't got enough heat cooling on it. This engine, I believe, generates little explosive pulses, I think. Yeah, little fusion pulses with generated by a magnetic field. And that kicks your rocket along. It's not necessarily the most precise, but it is very low. It is very efficient. It's a bit slow. Yeah, lithium and fusion fuels. So, let's see what we've actually got for those at the moment. That's nothing to do with any of them, but it looked interesting. Right. That's fission pellets, I believe. That's the wrong sort of thing. Do we have any lithium tanks at all at the moment, or do we need to tech up to get that? That's the fusion fuels. No, we actually don't have any lithium tanks, so we actually can't use it just yet. But that's the fusion fuels. You can do deuterium, helium-3, or a premix of both, and I don't get why you wouldn't just always do both. But yeah, so we can't actually truly get a handle on the sort of delta V readings we'd get just yet, because we don't have anything that can hold the fuel we need. We'll very quickly check the lab, but I believe it was another 1,500 research for advanced fuel tanks, or whatever it's called. So I want to wrap this episode up, but I want to get a bit of an idea what we'll do next. But it might be do another long-term mission, gain some science from the lab, and prepare to build something big with one of those engines. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. Was it one of these that had lithium fuel? No, it was something like this, wasn't it? Lithium, there we go. Yeah, we need 1,000 science. But anyway, whatever it is we do to make that science, whether I just time off with the lab off screen or whatever, I'll let you know next time. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed watching this extra long episode. I know I've enjoyed making it. It's been fun doing all these interesting new sort of flights and missions and things. As I always say in these videos, I make games as well as playing them, so if you want to help the channel, check out the links in the description to the 2 games I made. And I'll see you guys all again next time. Bye-bye.